This is the unemployment rate today. It sits at around 5%, but in just 5 years, that number could be nearly 4 times higher. At least according to this guy, Dario Amodei. He's the CEO of Anthropic AI. They're one of the leading AI safety and research companies and the masterminds behind Claude. And recently, he's been raising the alarm on a topic that everyday Americans have been feeling for quite a while. That AI is having massive changes on employment in the US, and that we are wildly unprepared for what's coming next. If you've been watching the news lately, you might be thinking that this message sounds quite a bit different than what other AI leaders have been saying. Some have even claimed that today's workers are the luckiest ones in history. So, who's right? We'll take a look at what the data says in a few key areas, starting with how fast these changes are taking hold. According to Amodei, a few years ago, AI was as smart as a good high school student. Now, it's at the same level as a smart college student, and quickly moving past that. This puts AI on par with the education level of the average US adult. We're also adopting AI faster than any other technology in history. Back in the early 1900s, when landline phones first came out, it took around 40 years for them to reach mass adoption. The personal computer reached similar levels of adoption in 12 years, and the internet in 5 years. Generative AI hit mass adoption in just 2 years. The faster AI spreads, the less time that we have to adapt to it. Unlike past technologies, this one isn't giving us decades to figure it out. Change is happening in days and months, not years and decades. And unlike those other technologies where adoption was primarily consumer-driven, white-collar companies are the ones pushing this race today. According to Microsoft, over 75% of knowledge workers are already using AI at work. This helps explain the wave of AI-driven layoffs sweeping the tech industry. Companies have been pushing adoption, trading in expensive human labor for cheaper, faster AI tools. And just like in past technological revolutions, the first jobs to go have been the ones at the bottom of the ladder. In this case, entry-level roles with more predictable or routine tasks that can be quickly automated using AI. Recent graduates are now trying to break into one of the most unforgiving job markets in recent history. Unemployment for recent grads is the highest it's been in over a decade, and it's now even worse than for the general population. And remember, the industries impacted by AI are white-collar professions, at least right now. These are the ones that have typically been a gateway to stability and high earnings, areas like tech, finance, and law. And many young grads are now left sitting on the sideline with a mountain of college debt and new concerns about whether their college degrees were even worth it. And it's not just tech alarmists that are worried here. Even political leaders and strategists, people that are not exactly known for aligning on much, are starting to sound the alarm. Steve Bannon, Trump's former chief strategist, recently warned, "I don't think anyone is taking into consideration how administrative, managerial, and tech jobs for people under 30, entry-level jobs that are so important in your 20s, are going to be eviscerated." With the direction things are trending, what we're likely to see is more frequent and longer periods of unemployment, especially for those that are just starting out in their careers. The ladder to the American dream has been getting harder to climb for decades. Take home ownership. Today, the average first-time homebuyer is older than ever before, and most young workers would need more than a decade just to save for a down payment. College tuition has also risen more than 200% faster than inflation, leaving new grads with crushing debt before they even get started with work. The gap between the rich and the poor is also wider than ever and continuing to grow. But what happens when people can't even get on the ladder in the first place? Going back to Dario Amodei, he believes that over the next few years, AI is likely to amplify inequality even more. He explains that work, which is how most of us contribute to society, is how everyday people gain leverage, and as a result, power. If the ability to work and make a living goes away, it's harder to prevent the concentration of power from falling into the hands of just a few. And when that happens, it's harder to make our democracy work, which means our social fabric is at risk of crumbling. But the US has navigated technological shock like this before. Back in 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, which was the world's first artificial satellite. America's response here was both swift and systemic. So they treated this as a wake-up call, one that exposed a major gap in our country's science and technology abilities that we needed everyone's help to be able to solve. Through the National Defense Act of 1958, the U.S. poured billions of dollars into math, science, and engineering education in schools and across all levels. It also increased access to higher education in STEM fields for millions of students through low-interest student loans and scholarship programs. While the goal was to catch up to the Soviets, the response ended up doing way more. It created better schools, affordable college, more jobs, and innovation that touched and benefited nearly every household in the aftermath. But what do we do when the threat isn't outside of our borders, but within them? AI may be today's Sputnik moment, but only if we can figure out how to pull together a coordinated response rather than leaving everyday people to figure it out on their own. And while policymakers figure out how to deal with the changes at a national level, there are some things that we can do to navigate the changes as individuals. Here's what the experts say. First, learn. Learn how to use AI, learn where the technology is going, learn about how it's impacting our economy, our lives, our well-being. If we're not blindsided by the advancements in AI, then we have a much better chance of adapting to the changes. Second is to protect opportunity. And this can take many different forms. If you're someone who's good at AI, help others in your community learn how to use it effectively so that they don't get left behind in the changes. You can protect opportunity for yourself by making sure you have a solid emergency fund saved up, something that gives you time and space to adapt if a big change hits you. Amade also believes that we should keep ideas for financial reform on the table, such as pushing for new taxes on AI companies that are funneling massive amounts of wealth that they capture to their owners and investors, and less to ordinary people that are driving the work. The third is to push AI where we actually want it. There are many industries that aren't nearly as developed as they could be, but where closing gaps could massively improve the quality of life for millions of people. AI advancements making social media or internet searches or ad creation more efficient won't actually improve our lives. But AI that's advancing healthcare, increasing access and the quality of education, and protecting our environment will have massive benefits, both for this generation and for others to come. Like every technology before it, AI will evolve in the direction that we choose to reward. And this means that we all share responsibility to push AI toward helping humanity and to push back when it doesn't.